$350,000 in small business loan amounts and much more people want, but not everybody will get. And what you should do to maximize your exposure to get to that point, and so much more. Hi, welcome in. My name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business loan broker expert, a business funding expert, as well as pre-underwriter slash underwriter who's been able to gratefully and thankfully help a lot of business owners and businesses navigate through this treacherous landscape of a lot of overpromising and under-delivering, it being overwhelming, people bombarding you, pressuring you, sales type of people spewing in your ears, just buttering you up, telling you what they want to do what's best for them instead of for you, and throwing all this jargon and words in there. And you're unsure about who you should one learn from and who you should go get a business loan and any kind of funding from. So I won't do any of that. I won't spew. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not one to bombard you, pressure you. I'm very nice, or at least I think, and others would say. I'm very humble, very trustworthy, very loyal. I'm a Libra, if that says anything. I have a hard time being on a video. I'm a better writer, but I think this format gives you more value in many ways. So I want to be as helpful. I'll leave more information too down below in the description for you to get started. And if I have some time, I'll get into the share screen and show you this questionnaire form that you can fill out to get precise and effective help. I'll also give you a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist and 900 plus more or less up-to-date grant documentation exclusive list and a lot of my education and support. So what I'd like you to know is getting a loan of at least 350,000 to start isn't easy by any means, and that's the obvious. But what does it take to get to that? What do you have to do to prepare for pre-funding to during and then post-funding? Because it doesn't just end once you have the funding. It's one thing to apply it, but properly applying it with your accounting resources, the management, the operations of the business, the current cash flow, financial investment, cash flow, profitability. Are you reporting the loss as it is? Are you not enough in time in business to know where you could be yet and what you need to adjust? There's so much to look at. And what I always recommend to most businesses and business owners is proper accounting. I've gone through a lot in my community and nationwide and then some, and I know that a major problem doesn't have to exactly do with the revenue or the kind of deposits in some cases, but how well your accounting is set up, your P&L, who's managing that? Are you doing that? Do you have a real CPA? Is it just a personal sided CPA? Do you know somebody who can manage it on the business side, has a proven track record to help you? Your balance sheet, debt schedule, everything that is done. And the person that's going to win and try to get that 350,000 and above, not just something as simple as 50 to 100,000 with a higher factor rate or these amortized, if you turn it into an amortized, into an APR, you're going to find out that it is a higher percentage. Instead, you want something that you'll have enough cash flow depositing and then enough being deducted from the loan that you have and the payment that you have to fulfill, but it isn't too much over time that you can balance your business much more effectively. And so what it comes down to is making sure you have all of your documents in order. I can't stress this out enough. This is not a plea or a cry for help by any means, or not a rant or anything. But just so you understand it from my perspective, I'm very punctual and very disciplined, excuse me, and very organized. I have a high standard now. I have multiple businesses that I run, so I'm very leveled when it comes to understanding business IQ. And I know that a lot of businesses struggle with getting all of their documents, I was gonna say ducks in a row, but yeah, they struggle with having everything already organized. You should have your own separate Dropbox, Google Drive, or wherever you have this, somebody or yourself. If you can't get that yet and it's you until you grow further, I understand that. But the faster you can get yourself educated on this and you can also share it with others and see what they're doing, it'll be very helpful. but making sure you have the documents necessary. But because getting a $350,000 small business loan will take you making sure you have your documents ready, all of the documents that are necessary. Can we void? Can we kind of look past one and use a different document instead? Not in all cases, depends on the lender, depends on the type of loan. Are we doing an SBA 7A versus a bank term loan? Is it an online bank term loan, bank line of credit, not through a Chase, a Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or whichever one? We'll say a lot of them. I'm just going to start throwing names there. But can you do it in a different way where it's much more of an expedited process? Maybe you don't have the right banking relationship already as it is, but you know in your heart you can qualify for one, or you at least think, or there has to be a way. That's what I'm here to do and help you. And again, the questionnaire I'll link you to down below. I'll try to get into the share screen, excuse me, in a moment. So documents wise, when you're looking for that much amount of funding, if it's not one of these revenue-based advances like cash advances, probably heard of merchant cash advances, hybrid cash advances, those things are expensive. It is if you're not using it for the right reasons. And one thing before I get into that, well, you'll notice about my content on here that you don't see from much of anywhere else is I try to keep it as raw and as authentic. And I try to give you more than most people will and in abundance because I've had the experiences myself getting funding. Not a lot of people have who are sharing with you or to the extent, or if they do, they probably don't have all the updated information, or you're just unsure about them as people. And so I question that at times too and who I'm learning from. And I want the very best from people who've been in where I'm trying to get to, or have at least to a degree, or know more than I do that I can get help from and go in the proper direction. And I do all credit, cash flow, collateral, liquidity, equity types of products, and so much more. Some of these are woven into one another. But documents wise, when you're looking for like a bank term loan, let's say, those are going to require you to have at least 2 to 3, usually 3 years of personal and business tax returns. So it depends on how you are scheduled. As a Schedule C 1040, things are woven in and combined. If you have a profit and loss statement that's separate, that would be usually required. In some cases, we can try to look past that, but not always. Depends on also the amount of business owners, the amount of credit you already have existingly. For those, do you have a 680 credit score on all 3 consumer credit bureaus to do a bank term loan? Where we're looking at FICO 2s primarily. There could be FICO 8s and plus involved, but FICO 2s primarily a lot of the time speaking. If it falls down to 620, there are other considerable factors that I have to look at, like negative days, non-sufficient funds, looking at the amount of deposits, cash flow, stability, how much is coming in versus what's going out, at what time periods, intervals, what type of transactions. So there's much more to this than just saying I have great and excellent cash flow. It's like, where are those coming from? I look at all of this stuff and I analyze and I evaluate much of the cerebral type that I look through a lot of bank statements, tax returns, credit reports, debt schedules. The list goes on and on. And so having those in place is very helpful. The balance sheets, you want to make sure you have that. If we have to track back a year, or what we're looking at is what current year to date, profit and loss and balance sheets, and there's more included, depends on the circumstances, depends on the loan scenario, depends on the use of funds, what those funds will do. You're looking at an Experian credit report. I have to look at the full one. Do you have multiple business owners? If you have multiple business owners, I have to account for looking at all of their Experian credit reports at least initially before everything else. And then I'm looking at the application. Did you fulfill on the application when it tells you to fill in every field, but you missed a field? Was it intentionally? Was it on accident? Either way, take the time to review and look at it. It's like I'm studying for a test in college, and I'm the type who I believe I have it well, and I still will sit there, probably be one of the last, middle to last, and looking at it. Like I could be one of the first to finish, but I'm there looking at, revising. There's maybe something that I don't go too quick on at all, but it's just like I got to go back and look at it. And so just be honest with yourself. Loyalty, honesty, accountability, responsibility as a person goes a long ways with me. And that's a clear-cut sign of a lot of that. It's not just the business, but it's a clear-cut sign of that in terms of characteristic traits, personality traits, not being stubborn, not being arrogant, not being ignorant, egotistical, cocky, and a lot of this. And having that responsibility, having integrity, being very loyal, being considerate, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. You don't have to be a talker like I'm not one at all, but understanding, empathy, sympathy when it's required, when it's necessary to. And all these things, it makes a big difference. And it doesn't create that friction and resistance that we can go through things more smoothly. You have your head on, right? You have your understanding of your budgeting on how much you can allocate to this. That's great. Make sure you have that. But when you don't keep track of these things, it makes it hard for not only you, but all parties and trying to reason with you. Because if you don't have the numbers right, unless I showed you, it's like, okay, this makes more sense. It's more plausible. Here's scenario A, B, C. Okay, great. This makes sense. And I help a lot of people in more ways than just getting funding, by the way. Cash flow improvements, profitability improvements, EBITDA, a lot more ways. Accounting services, financial literacy. I'll leave more information on that down below with my other businesses as well. If you wanted to start an online business, I can show you that too. I might not leave all that down below, but you can email me. Try to leave my email down below so you can learn more if you want and reach out. But yeah, it takes those bits of documents on the application, the SSN field. It's very safe and secure with me and all that I do, just so you know that we don't ever use this against you. Inputting the different fields and the debt schedule, the signature, the name printed, and then the signature and the date. Those are fields that are usually missed. People usually will see, but they don't do it, forget for some other reasons. The statements that I'm looking for, bank statements, however much I need, 6 months or so, 3 months. Of course, I said the tax returns. There's a lot more, but I'm going to just leave it at that, or there's a bit more, but I'm going to leave it at that. I could have said quite a bit, but there is that. And then the SBA loans, you're looking for that. Personal financial statements. If you're doing a 504 loan, environmental things that have to be done, appraisals. Uh, there's quite a bit. SBA 7A, quite a bit of documentation, and it's heavy. So to get those types of loans at 350,000 and above, you're starting to now sense how much you have to put forth your documentation time. And that's okay. If you can manage it, and if it's something that you're like, I don't have it ready, but I'm going to get it ready because this is what I need, just don't put it off. Don't be that person who, oh, so you're the person that you said you wanted to get this done sooner. You actually put a time on it. Say, hey, in the next week, about the next 2 weeks, I'm going to get these documents over to you, and I want to get this done within the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We can close. Great. By the date of at this time at this location, I'm going to go ahead and start sending my documents over. Like, great. But don't be a talker, be a doer. I'm the doer type. I don't talk. I do. You see me here, but when I'm not here, I got you. Don't worry. And so have that all together. And I'm not going to spend time on each individual service today, like the bank term loan, the bank line of credit, all the qualifications on the requirements, all the exact documents at this step, at that step, closing here, 10% here, or if it's something 40%, 50% SBA 504, then 10% down, or whatever it is. I'm not going to spend time on that. And even the cash advances credit. But I just wanted you to know that if you're trying to get something of that magnitude, the requirements are there, obviously. You want to have better credit, like I said earlier, sometimes with variable factors. You have to look at 620. Can we do that? Potentially. I have options for higher tier lenders, but it's still hard with other factors to look at. And the line of credits are already hard. You have to have 700 plus, if not 725, sometimes 620. Large majority 680 right now, 675. Depends on the lender. And if you can't match that, if you can't match the documents, if you don't have the profitability, even the cash flow and other things to look at in these businesses, it makes it harder to want to do it. And you'll feel defeated. So I'll help you understand what is the alternative. And sometimes you have to start off with like an advance, those cash advances. That if you take it, you're like, I'm going to get 2 contracts. I'm going to be making an extra 50 to 80,000 on the 20,000 I'm currently making every single month. Cash flow looks like this. These are my reserves. This is what I plan to do. Even if I get deducted X amount daily or weekly, because that's how those work, I'm going to be making 50,000. So my ROI is going to be a lot greater. If you're starting to then look for that greater ROI past 100%, great. 50%, even those margins, break even points, understanding what these funds are being allocated to, what's your return on your investment, activity, and then financial wise, you know how to get to that. Predictably, will you be cash flowing X amount, surplus amount? Your profitability, would it look like this? Would you be able to report a profit by the end of this fiscal year or whatever you're trying to do? Like, what does it look like every 3 months? What does it look like every month? What are your activities looking like? Are you preparing? There's a lot more that I can look at as well to get you there. And then you take that money, you double, triple, quadruple your revenue, and that's how they can work for you, not against you. Now, for how long you'll be doing that, now you doubled it in the next month. Can you stay in that revenue now? For how long? Can you not? What does it benefit you to do to pay this off quicker? Like I'm going to have an extra 30,000 I'm going to pay. I'm going to allocate to paying this off over 50% instead of waiting 6 additional months to pay. I'm going to completely pay this halfway through 6 months of my 12-month duration or whatever it is. Or if you can pay it all, great. That way you don't have to have that payment for the lender, or we have to go look at a debt restructure if it's feasible, which I do a lot too. If you need a debt restructure and you need a specialty law firm, invest the attorney-led debt restructuring team and everything like this, I got it already taken care of. I help quite a few people with, and I have my ducks in a row, payment analyst, the team, and everything that I know too that is going on the back end and how all this is set up. But that's what I wanted to come on here to help you understand, is to get that 350,000 and above, even less than that. Not always has to be 350K. It can be 100,000 plus. It can be 50,000. It can be even 20,000. It can be something so small. But the smaller you get, you likely will see that it requires less documentation to a degree. And as you get higher and you get into these bank term loans and higher services to get to that amount, then you might see collateral being involved, perhaps insurance policies, retirement accounts, depending on what stage and what needs to be required and asked for, if need be, if that's the case, and more. And if sometimes it's just putting a UCC lien, a blanket lien, and it's not fully collateralized, then there's those options. But if you're already dry in that space where it's like you don't have enough or enough to consider all this, it can make it hard. And that's supplying the documents. Just be efficient, be a pro at it. Take some time on the weekend if you have to. Hey, Michael asked me for these documents. Even if I don't want one now, guess what? I'm going to be an overachiever and I'm going to take time to put these documents. So then when I send them everything, I'm just uploading it and I'm just updating it as I go. Michael asked for this. Now all I have to do is upload this into this document. Great. For me to review myself, the team, the lender, organization. It's how you want to do it. It's how fast you can get it done. And if that's the issue, that'll be what holds you back. And that's why you take longer to get these. That's why if you wanted it like 3 weeks ago, but now it takes an extra month, did you have the documents? Did you have to go create them? Or if it wasn't that, and or is it just your organization? That's what it could be. You got to delegate if you can. You can't learn this. Do it. That's what I had to do from the very beginning. And I'm no different than anybody. I'm not a superhuman. I just have a higher standard now, very punctual, and build businesses. And so I very, very much value my energy and time as much as I do yours. So let's be as energy and time efficient as we can. So let me go into the share screen like I said I would do and show you what this is. So this is get the funding your business needs fast with the help from a real expert. You can select from one of these two options. And again, plus get your free 6-step pre-approval funding checklist or lending checklist and 900 plus exclusive free grant documentation list about us. You can learn more. Here are just some of the results I helped generate. There are many more. You just see a handful. It's your money. Go ahead and claim me before it's too late. About me and learning about me, not just the business entity itself, but also me. I'll try to leave more information down below and who I am. And down here, you can click on one of these two buttons, like non-startup, or if it's startup, you go ahead and do that one. May look different over time, but here, get the funding your business needs fast. Please read this because I'm just saying this to be very energy and time efficient. I'm never aggressive or pushy, pressuring. I'm never like that. I just want to make sure that you know that I'm very energy and time efficient and I'm not here to waste my time. And I care more about you and people over profits. You, your health, your relationships matter to me a lot, your wisdom, and taking care of you first and then your business because I know my stuff in this. So I want to be the best that I can be. So you'll see all this information. You can fill this out. Shouldn't take you long, honestly, although you do see quite a bit, but you can honestly go through this, but don't speed through it to a point where you didn't fill out something correctly. Just take your time. It's going to be well worth it. And then I'll analyze, evaluate it on my back end and put together a very comprehensive email response with the PDF showing you your best funding option and options like no one's business, showing you options you can't even find online and things that are not shown publicly. They'll give you different options. I'll guide you on where to look, credit, cash flow, collateral, everything you need, cash out refinances, SBA. Like I'll give you a roadmap on where you got to start to then move, different options, and all of that. So that is going to be everything from me in this video. Hopefully you got great value from this. If you did, I greatly appreciate you giving it a thumbs up and sharing it with others. Not that you have to share it. And if you haven't subscribed, I greatly appreciate you doing so and clicking the bell notification icon so you do not miss any future content I will be coming out with. That is all for now. Take care.